Hello, everyone. I can't believe I'm doing my senior share already. These last 3.5 years have flown by, but they would not have been the same without InterVarsity. I've made so many memories, and I'm going to share some highlights of my InterVarsity experience. Coming into college, I was hoping to find a Christian community where I could meet people who shared my religious beliefs and continue to grow in my faith. I was on my way back from class one day when I saw an InterVarsity info table by the bookstore, and I decided to check it out. It sounded like the kind of organization I was looking for, so I filled out a contact card. Later that day, I got a text from Cora inviting me to a Bible study in the basement of Nylons, which is where I was living. I went to Bible study later that night and was introduced to a new way of studying the Bible that challenged me to apply what I was learning to my daily life. I also found out InterVarsity had large group meetings, so I went to Epic and everyone was friendly and welcoming. I continued going to life group meetings and Epic every week and attending other InterVarsity events. I met so many wonderful people throughout my freshman year. Second semester, Cora started discipling me, and she encouraged me to become a life group leader. At first I was uncertain because I thought I didn't know enough about the Bible. I am also a very quiet person, so I knew stepping into leadership would mean stepping out of my comfort zone. I spent a few days praying about it, and I felt like God was calling me into a leadership role, so I filled out the application and was accepted as a life group leader. At the end of the year, I attended a week-long conference called Chapter Focus Week, or CFW. I took the small group leader training track, which gave me many different tools and resources for leading a life group, and I had the opportunity to practice leading a passage. It made me feel much more prepared. It also gave me a chance to deepen my relationships with other members of our chapter and meet students from other InterVarsity chapters. I couldn't wait for next year. My sophomore year, I lived in Fisher and led a life group in Nylons. I was constantly challenged to step outside my comfort zone to invite people to attend Bible study and other various events. I learned how to take risks to share my faith, model vulnerability, and support others in their walk with Christ. I was so glad I had decided to become a life group leader because it helped me grow in my faith in ways that otherwise would not have been possible, and it made me aware of the impact I could have on our campus. The highlight of my sophomore year was attending Urbana, which is a 5-day student missions conference that takes place in St. Louis during winter break. It was an amazing experience worshiping with over 10,000 students, and it made me feel like I was part of a bigger movement. I got to hear stories from missionaries around the world who were risking their lives to spread the gospel, and it encouraged me to be more missional and take advantage of the opportunities that I had to share God's word with the people around me. I highly recommend going to Urbana if you have the chance. You won't regret it. My junior year, I lived in Wellers and led a Bible study in Wellers. At the beginning of the year, I was invited to join the prayer team and lead one of the daily prayer meetings. My freshman year, I was terrified to pray out loud because it was something I hadn't done before, and I hardly went to any of the prayer meetings. My sophomore year, I started going to prayer meetings occasionally, but I wasn't very consistent, and I was still nervous to pray out loud. Because of this, I thought I was unqualified to lead a prayer meeting, and I was tempted to say no, but I decided to pray about it first. To my surprise, God was calling me to be a prayer leader, so I hesitantly said yes to joining the prayer team, and I'm very glad I did. It helped me gain more confidence to pray out loud. I discovered many different ways to pray, and I began to love prayer. It was also exciting to see other members of the chapter grow in their love for prayer throughout the year as well. Everything was going great until second semester when the pandemic hit, and the university suspended all in-person classes and events for the rest of the academic year. I like to know what's coming next so I can plan for the future, but suddenly everything was constantly changing, and the future was more unknown than ever. But it made me realize that the only thing I could count on to stay the same was God. And God had a plan for the future, even if it was different than what I expected. I just had to trust Him. InterVarsity found ways to still have Bible study, Epic, and prayer meetings through Zoom, which I was very grateful for, and staying connected to Christian community helped me not feel so alone and hopeless. Even though everything was online, God still moved in big ways. I had no clue what to expect my senior year. Coming in, I knew I would be living in Tut, leading a Bible study in Tut and Wellers, and continuing to serve on the prayer team. But I realized this was my last opportunity to make an impact on our campus, and I was worried about how the pandemic would affect the opportunities I would have to meet new people and spread the gospel. Once again, God showed up and provided ways to connect with new students. We had to get creative, but we found ways to still have events throughout the year and come together in community. I enjoyed our virtual fall conference, even though it was different from fall conferences in the past. It was still very impactful. This was not the senior year I expected, but I have been challenged and grown in my faith in ways that I never thought were possible. God has done some amazing things in my life through InterVarsity these past few years. He has taught me that I can do so much more than I thought I was capable of. I only need to rely on Him instead of trying to do everything on my own. He has taught me how to trust in Him, and that even when things seem hopeless, He is still at work and He has a plan. I have also grown in my prayer life and my personal relationship with Jesus through daily quiet times. Some advice I have is don't be afraid to take risks and step outside your comfort zone to spread God's word. Even if you think you don't know enough or that you aren't qualified, take a chance anyway, and God will be with you every step of the way. Take advantage of any opportunities you have to go to conferences like Catalyst, Winter Retreat, Chapter Focus Week, and Urbana. You will learn so many skills and tools that you can use to share your faith with others and improve your own faith life. It is also a great way to get to know other members of the chapter and build relationships that will last throughout your time in college. Finally, take advantage of the time you have now to build friendships and spread God's word. 3.5 or 4 years goes much faster than you think. Next semester, I will be student teaching at Fox Prairie Elementary School in Stoughton, and I am moving back home to Oregon, Wisconsin. Some prayer requests are that I will be able to show my students God's love, especially with everything going on right now. Also, that I would find ways to get involved at my local church and continue to grow in my faith. And finally, that I would trust God and go wherever He leads me. Thank you for making these last 3.5 years the best time of my life. I will miss you all.